Charlotte Tilbury said dupes weren't really a thing, but one side of my face is dupes and the other side is luxury. It's £100 versus 500. Can you tell which is which? No cheating. Miss Charlotte Tilbury says dupes are not a thing. I'm going to test that theory with the best dupes that I can find. My aim is to keep the cost to under £100. Now, this Prada foundation is stunning, but it's a whopping £52. This Maybelline 30-hour Lumi Matte is £8.99. Now, this is what I think is a dupe for this. Prada is over here. The colours are slightly different, but this is about texture and usage and finances more than matching things colour for colour. But this one's not bad. And using another brush, here's my Lumi Matte on this side. I'll try and give you as many close-ups as I can. Both brands use specific light wear technology so that the liquid feels completely weightless and actually undetectable once it sets. See what you think? Prada, Maybelline, 52, £8.99. For concealer, you could use the delicious Natasha Denona High Glam if you've got £34 to spare. I always use my Maybelline. They are slightly different formulas, but for me, with dry skin, these work an absolute treat. The Natasha Denona dries down to a self-setting luminous matte, but Maybelline stays slightly more dewy. The Natasha Denona tends to sit on my skin more than the Maybelline does. Natasha Denona comes in at £34. Maybelline's Age Rewind is £8. So I'm going to deduct these from my £100 limit, and the total so far is £20.99. So I've got £79 and 1 penny left. So that's the base, looking like $1,000,000, but even the best foundation can look flat without the right dimension, which we're going to add. Coming up next, I'm going to show you a drugstore bronzer that will rival any luxury formula, and it doesn't turn orange. Some of you have mentioned that drugstore bronzers are quite tricky to get right, whether it's a cream or a powder. They can look muddy or orange. Neither of these two products does either of those two things. On the drugstore side, I'm going to try my lifter sticks. Again, Maybelline. That's a nice bronzy colour. It's £9, and my luxury side, which is Happy Soul by Rare Beauty. You need to be a bit more careful about the Rare Beauty. It drops a lot of pigment, whereas the lifter sticks tends to be buildable, so you don't kind of over apply them. So £9, £28. When it comes to powders, I'm going to replace my Victoria Beckham bronzing brick with this Maybelline City Bronzer. They are both really fine micromilled powders, and when you touch them they don't feel heavy or chalky. They're silky and weightless, and they blend into the skin without disturbing what's underneath. They're both supposed to be buildable and a sheer payoff. The price difference is huge. This is £6, this is £68. Can you see the difference? Now for blush. The classic luxury blush choice is the Westman Atelier. This one is in the shade Petal. However, enter the Revolution Beauty Silk Blush. This one is in Rosy Cheeks, and it's a phenomenal dupe for this. There is a bit of a shade difference. You can swipe them on the cheeks, but I quite like using a brush. They both feature a really creamy texture that melts into the skin, and it does provide a lovely natural dewy finish. And best of all, both of them are vegan and cruelty-free, unlike some other brands these days. Now, here's the kicker. This cost £6 and this cost £44. I've got £58 and 1 penny, but we're still missing that lit from within glow. But stay tuned, because I've found an £8 highlighter that performs better than a lot of the luxury brands that I own. A lot of us get worried about texture showing up on dupe highlighters. But I've tried so many luxury highlighters: Dior, Gucci, more Dior and Tom Ford. They're all in the range of about £50 each, but this humble Colourpop Super Shock highlighter comes in at £8. I'm going to test it against the mighty Tom Ford. This is a side-by-side swatch. This is the Colourpop, this is the Tom Ford. I'll wipe off my brush. I find that neither of these emphasise texture, but look at that, £8, 50. Before we talk about eyes, I've just checked my concealer, and the Natasha Denona has way more settled into my fine lines than the Maybelline. I did buy into the hype for the Natasha Denona, and I hardly ever use it now. I always go for the Age Eraser. Now, eyes. The Marc Jacobs shadows are on everyone's lips or eyes at the moment. This is one of my favourite colours, called Cancelled, and I found the perfect dupe in this, of all things, Colourpop How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and this colour here is Mr. Grinch. There is a subtle difference in the colour, but the texture and the application and the staying power is pretty much the same. If you can't get this, or you don't want to buy a whole palette, although it's a great palette, you can get single Colourpop Super Shock eyeshadows for around £6 compared to this, 24. They both have the putty texture, and I'll pop this on the luxury side. See how easily it goes on just with your fingers. And then on my drugstore side, Mr. Grinch, here we go. This is actually very, very pigmented. So I'm going to start really lightly and try and build it up to get the same payoff as the Marc Jacobs. So this side is a bit more glittery in that Super Shock way. This side is a bit more gentle. They're both cruelty-free, ultra pigmented, also buildable, metallic, and super creamy. Now, eyeliner. Yeah, you can spend £33 on a Victoria Beckham Kajal, or for £11.99, this is a Sephora pencil in the shade T-Rex. That's the T-Rex, that's the Victoria Beckham in olive. The only difference is you have no time to play. The Sephora dries down within seconds, whereas you get a bit more playtime with the Victoria Beckham. So if you're going for the Sephora, do one eye at a time so you've got time to blend it. Stay right close to the lash line. Grab a small brush, blend it out. The perfect baby wing. Other side, Victoria Beckham. Clean off my brush and just wing it out. What are we thinking? Not bad so far. How much have I spent? I'll tell you after I've done my mascara. There we go. Eyelashes done. Now, if you've been here before, you'll know it is drugstore all the way, but I occasionally use this Swede mascara. It's the Cloud mascara. It comes in at £24, and on the drugstore side, I've used the L'Oreal Panorama Million Lashes mascara, and this is £12.99, so nearly half the price. They both have a multi-bristle combination on the wand, which catches each and every lash. So these eyes cost me £30.98. These eyes are £81. The total so far, I've spent £72.97. So I've got £27.03 to spend on lip liner, lipstick, setting spray and setting powder. Will I manage my £100 target? I actually don't have any idea. I just gathered the best that I could. Let's see. But coming up is the perfect dead ringer for the Lisa Eldridge Marilyn Monroe collection, and a very, very affordable, what you might call, dupe. I did a short on this lip look actually, so if you've seen that you can skip forward to the next part. But the Lisa Eldridge Marilyn Monroe collection is everything, but it is expensive. These are £21 each, bringing the total to £42. And on this side I've got my L'Oreal and my Elf, and in my opinion they are interchangeable to a degree. This is Enchantment. And this is Red Receipt. Now there is a difference. Charlotte's right in some ways. It's very difficult to dupe something that has been so microscopically examined by an expert, Lisa Eldridge, going back into the Marilyn Monroe formulas that she used to use. However, colour-wise they're different, but I think formula-wise the e.l.f. lip liner is as long-lasting as the Lisa Eldridge. This is Strawberry Blonde. And I'm going to do, for the first time, a sheared out version, which basically means you put 3 dots and blend it with your fingers. This is much more orangey. It's actually in the colour I Don't, which has been discontinued. Thank goodness I've got another 2 backups. If you want something similar to this, the new range includes the colour 420, Le Rouge Paris, I think it's called. It is a slightly different colour, but it does have the same staying power. And there you go. You can see this is much more orangey and this has a bit more blue in it. But what a result! So we're still under budget, but this is no good at all if it all slides off my face in approximately 2 hours. Coming up, 2 lock-it-in products that are going to make this side last as long as this side. A good budget powder is the secret weapon to making sure that everything stays where it should do all day. I've used this before. This is the Revolution Rose Baking and Setting Powder, and this is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake in Cherry Blossom Cake. Cherry Blossom Cake looks a little bit more salmon when it comes out of the packaging, and the Revolution Beauty comes out a little bit more pink. But one's £34 and the other one is $6.99. So I've just checked. Pesky creases are out. I've still got more on this side and hardly anything on this side, but Huda Beauty is going on the high end side, and this is the Revolution Beauty. Look at that. Revolution Beauty, Huda. So finally, setting spray. The absolute pinnacle for the luxury side is this Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. This costs £48, the Travel Mini is £23. And these 2 are going to compete with NYX, which is £8.95. I'm running out of this one. Luxury side, it's going to melt all the powder, and on this side is the NYX. They're both infused with niacinamide. You can use both of them as primers or as part of your skin prep before you start. So it's not just a finishing spray, you can actually spray it on before you start your makeup. How lovely is that? Look at that. You can't tell the difference at all. If you can tell the difference, please let me know in the comments below. I will leave a list of the products that I've used and the shades in the description box. That has turned out actually probably better than I expected. I did have faith, but this is really cool. I've got one luxury pro tip. I've got nothing on my bottom lash, and I'm going to use the same thing on both sides. So I'm going to take a little bit of the Super Shock highlighter and just draw a tiny line that you can barely see in the middle of my lower lash line. Ernesto Casillas used it on Zendaya's blue look. There was a tiny fine line of highlighter or silver shadow on her lower lash line, and I've adopted it. So that's it. I've applied every product. I haven't done my eyebrows. Hold caller. NYX brow glue. I've got to add another £8.99 onto my total. Have I made that £100 target? If I could find it, I would put ABH's brow gel on this side. Okay, let's reveal the grand cost. What have I spent? £122.94. So I have gone over my budget, but on this side, the products cost £500. Is £500 worth it? Let me know what you think. I hope you can see it clearly enough and it shows up on camera, but I'd be really interested to know what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Do drop a like if you have, and subscribe if you haven't. I do upload every week, and I hope to see you in the next one.